Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and also to encourage experienced painters to paint along with us. And today we're going to be working on strawberries. Now, if you're a beginner, one thing I want to remind you is that in order to get started in China painting, the easiest ones for you to watch are the ones that have easy by them, both on Facebook and YouTube. I put easy by the ones that are for beginners so you can find them. But I would recommend you start with the Wild Rose study that's on YouTube, because that has all the information that you need in order to get started. And it reminds you of things you might forget that, you know, not having painted before. I use Soral Wrap. This is what it looks like. You can get it probably on Amazon, but I know for a fact that you can get it through Dick Blick. That's like a stationery art supply place, and it's wax-free transfer paper. That's what you want. And you're going to take the brighter side. You can get it in different colors, so it's just whatever the darker side is. You're going to put the darker side down on the piece that you're working on. You're going to put your line drawing over it and tape it down, and you're going to trace it. You can trace with black, but the second time you're probably going to want to trace with a color just in case you get interrupted so you know where you left off. And this is the way it'll end up looking. Now, you'll notice this tile doesn't have any glare on it. And you know why? It's because it's a matte finish tile. I found these at my local hardware, like a Home Depot or Lowe's. And so I have already done a small tile with this. I wanted to show you just the first fire, what it looks like. And you can see it has a matte finish to it. So, you know, if you don't have matte paints, this might be the next best thing. And it gives you something different, you know, to put out if you're putting things out at a show or something. So you have a little bit different. Okay, so we're going to get started on strawberries. The only other thing I wanted to share with you is my palette, where I have chartreuse, moss green. You can use baby blue, although I have cool shadow here. Mixing yellow, or you can use egg. This is a yellow red. You're going to need something for the border. I have a French green. You could also use blue. I mean, you can use any color for the border. Red. And then I have a yellow brown, and I also have a warm brown green. So that's the palette we're going to be using. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start with the leaves on this. I'm using, I use my number 10. I like my number 10. It's one of my favorites. Why not? There we go. And we're going to full load with chartreuse. Now, when you paint on a mat, if you do get a matte tile, you're going to need a little more oil than you normally do. And I'm going to side load with the moss green. And I'm going to start from the center of the leaf, and I'm going to come down towards the vein, just like we did the last time. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to come down towards the vein. These leaves, let me show you. I have some right here for you so you can see what they look like. Actually, this is probably better. You see these leaves? They have a real distinct line going to the center vein, and that's why I'm doing it the way I am. They also have a very choppy edge on them. So that's why I'm painting the way I am with these, is so that we get that, we'll also get that choppy edge. So now I'm turning it around, and I'm going to come around the outside edge with my color. And I'm going to make those, I'm going to come out to where the lines are so that it has a little bit more of a choppiness to it, you know, so you can see how that goes. And then I'm just going to smooth them a little bit. just gently. Okay, we're going to do the next one. I might add a little yellow to this. You can add yellow. You can add the warm brown green, whatever you want in order to get a little more color in here. And I'm just going to do up the center. Down the other side. Oops, need a little more moss green in there. And then I'm going to take a little yellow and put on this and do this outside edge. Maybe a little more yellow. It's not real obvious. Can you see how that yellow is showing up on there? I noticed that a lot of these little strawberry leaves have a little bit of yellow on their edges, and so I'm trying to mimic that a little bit. Here, I'll show you again. See this one here? You can see on that one has a little yellow on the edge. So if you get some pictures off the internet, sometimes it gives you some ideas that you hadn't thought about for you know, for color. And I think that sometimes adds to it. Okay, this one down below, I think I'm going to use a moss green, and I'm going to use a warm brown green, and I'm going to put that under here. I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going around the edges now. Now, remember, this is going to fire off. So right there, I didn't have any paint, and if it fires off, I wanted to know where the edge of that leaf was, so that's why I did that. Coming out here. Now, these leaves are further away. They don't need to be quite as definite, but you can make them just as definite if you want. Go down that center, then go around the outside. Oh, I'm going to add a little brown green here. Go around the outside. Okay, and on this side I'm going to add a little more yellow because it'll have the sun coming at it. I'm thinking on this I'm going to put a yellow background. I haven't gotten that far yet, but I think it would be kind of pretty to have a yellow background. So and on this leaf down here, I'm going to do a full load of yellow and then a side load of the chartreuse. Now remember, this is first coat, so if you want a little more yellow or you want lighter colors underneath, this is the time to do it. If you wait until the second coat, you may not have the opportunity because it should be all in there already. And I'm using a little more moss green for the darkness. Now I'm noticing that some of my leaves, like up in here, are a little too liney. You know, things aren't quite as smooth as I would like, so I'm just smoothing them a little bit. So they don't have those defined lines in them. There we go. And then the one down here, I'm going to do in the dark. And because I'm gearing towards beginners, as you remember, I'm only doing the strawberries, the flowers and the strawberries and the leaves and things this time, because I want beginners not to have to worry about background. I just think background is kind of a, you know, it's something you don't need to worry about on the first fire. They always used to make us do background on the first fire, and I always thought I was so worried about having things turn out right that I really didn't want to do that. So now I'm going to put a little more of the darker here on the tip. I kind of like it when it's a little darker on the tip. Okay. Now I have these three leaves down here. Two of these leaves are coming up like this, and they're like half open. So they're newer leaves, so I'm going to do them in the chartreuse and the moss green because I want them to look newer. Oops, here we go. Spread that out a little. And then I'm just going to pull to the edge. I think I'm going to do this one more in a chartreuse down here. Yeah, I'm painting and I'm trying to make sure you can see at the same time. I'm going to put a little more moss green, I think, on the edges of this. Just, oops, not quite that much. Just so I know where they are and I don't lose them. Okay. And I'm going to just put that down here. yeah, this one, it would be better if I could hold it and paint. Hang on. I'm just going to take a little red and put on this one. I've always liked red and green together because they give you a little interest. We'll do a little over on this side here. Alrighty, so that's your leaves. I'm going to take a smaller brush. This one is a 1/4 inch brush. And I'm going to put a little bit of the flowers in. Now, oops, I want to put the center in. I'm going to use my number 1. The number 1 is kind of like a liner. It's just a little thicker. And I'm just going to put some yellow in the center of these. I'm not going to color it in this time. You can add a little, you know, yellow brown or brown to it next time if you want. But this time I'm just going to put the yellow centers in. I have 3 flowers up here. 1, 2, and 3. Clean that off. Set it aside. By the time I get done painting, I have a pile, like you wouldn't believe, of brushes, because I don't like to put them back in the holder and then I have to keep going and looking for them. This is Cool Shadow. Now, if you have to add a blue, Cool Shadow is a good one to add because it truly does just that. It creates a shadow. Oops, that's a little heavy. It creates a shadow. I'm going to come real close so you can see. Oh, now, you're going to want to put the color closer to the center of the flower. I'm sorry, I want to make sure you can see, but it's really hard to hold this tile when the painting is that little. Can you see? I'm just going around the center and one side of the leaf. I'm trying anyway. My brush might be a little large for this. There we go. Oop, too blue. But I do like this blue. It's a good blue. Okay, and now I'm just going to take and put a little turpentine on. And I'm just going to take a little of this off because I got a little too much on there. These little guys are harder to paint when you're... There we go. But I just want to get some shadow on them. And I really like the matte tile for that. So there you go. Okay. So now we're going to do the strawberries. Strawberries are fairly easy, I think. I'm going to do the strawberries first, and then I'm going to go do the green on top. I think it makes more sense. That way I'm not messing up the green on top by playing with the strawberries. I'm using a full load of my yellow, either mixing yellow or egg, whichever one you prefer. And I'm, well, actually, let's not do it that way. If you're a beginner, it might be easier to do it in 2 parts. Okay. So let's start with the yellow. Okay, so if you're a beginner, let's do it this way. We're going to put the yellow on. The sun is coming this way across. So I'm going to put the yellow on just on the side where the sun is coming across. And the nice thing about strawberries is they're a little textured. So you should be able to add a little bit of, you know, if it's not a real smooth stroke, it really doesn't matter with strawberries because strawberries have that texture to them. I think you're able to see this yellow. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. I'm looking on the replay here as I'm painting. Okay, so I put my yellow on, just those strawberries. I put a little more yellow up in here so you can see it. Okay, can you see the yellow? That's the key. And then I'm going to put my yellow red on. So I painted this way because it's towards me. I'm going to flip it and paint it on this side. But I also want to get the bottom of this strawberry. So I'm going to start with this direction. Now you notice I said they're textured. Can you see how textured I did that? Okay. Don't worry if it's not that dark this fire. You'll get it the next fire. So here I'm doing the bottom. And the way I'm doing it is real short, choppy little C-stroke. Because I want that texture on there. And when I dip into my paint, I'm not putting a lot of paint on either. I'm just taking the very edge here. So that's important to keep in mind. You don't want, especially with yellow red, it will fire out if you're not careful. So you really do need to just keep it away and do it separately, but also be very careful with it. Okay, this guy, I've decided the middle guy is on top, so I'm just doing this part of him. And now I'm going to flip it and go up underneath these, because he's a bigger one. I'm going to go up underneath these little things up here, because that's what I want to get. I love strawberries, and I think they're perfect for kitchens. And then I'm just pulling down a little bit just to get that texture smooth a tad, so that I don't have so much. Now on this guy, he's right up against the other one. So you do have to put some red on this side. Then you're going to come around the bottom and put a little red down there. And picture a strawberry. If you don't have a strawberry in front of you, get a picture of one. That always helps. And then you're going to come up this side. And then you're going to turn it this way. Up. I don't know which side I have my paint on. I just dropped my brush. So let me clean my brush and we'll worry about it now. The other nice thing about this is if you've ever painted on a tinted tile, this is very much like painting on a tinted tile. Now I can take and go back in and get a little more yellow red and just add a little bit more over the top. Just a tad, not a lot. Oh. There we go. Move it around a little bit. Okay? So there you see what I've gotten done so far. Okay. Now, these strawberries down here, you can either make them green strawberries, you can make them white strawberries before they get green. I think I'm going to make them green. So I'm going to use my lightest green, my chartreuse, and just do half of them. Then take my moss green and do the other half. There. Oh. Didn't quite get this the way I want it. Let me pull it up here like this. There. Phew. Okay. But these over here, I definitely want to make red. Well, it looks like you can see this pretty well, so I'm pretty pleased. Okay. So we're going to put the yellow on where we want the yellow. I'm just taking the chartreuse right now and I'm just putting it on these little guys. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. I probably should put a little highlight on these, and I can do that with an eraser, I think. I could probably do it as I'm putting it on too, just do half of it. But my concern is, remember, these are going to fire out. And so it's really important to have a little something there if you're afraid you'll forget where they are. You see? These little guys up here, that's what I'm doing there. Yoop, 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 yoop. Okay. Now, like I said, a lot of times this one I'll wipe off and I'll start over again, but I don't know. This one looks pretty decent. Okay. So now, you know they have the little seeds on them. Okay. Picopay to the rescue. I've seen people use toothpicks if they don't have a Picopay. You could use a toothpick. You could try that. But what you're going to do is you're going to put these little seeds in. Let me back off here and show you them. And you see how they are here? They kind of go around, oh, wait there. They kind of go around the contour. This white one in particular, I think you can see real well. They kind of line up, and then they kind of go towards around the contour of it too. So sometimes they're a little bit roundish. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to start by putting these little guys in. You're not going to be able to see them real well, but I'm going to do my best. Let's see here. Now, I found that if you make them not quite a, you don't want to make them a C, but you do want to make them a little bit curved, that they actually fit the contour. And I'm making them a little larger than I need to here for you. You have to keep wiping off your Pico Pay because you don't want to. Okay. And you're going to want to go around like here. I've got some paint out. Sometimes you have to go around and clean up a little bit too. There we go. Okay, and down here. Okay, can you see my little dots? Okay, now the dedicated, oh, I don't have brown on here. The dedicated China painter would take, I'll do it with green. You should have brown, but I don't have a brown on here right now. I will do the dots here too, but right now I just want to show you one of the things I'm going to do then is go, you take your brown, if you have it, and you're not going to be able to see this, but what I'm doing is on the right side, because my light is coming this way, on the right side of those little dots, oops, that wasn't right, I'm putting just a little half circle. I shouldn't have done it there, but there we go. You can get rid of them too if you don't like them. So here, I'll do it here with the green. I would normally use like a brown or a yellow brown #2, which is a little darker. But can you see right there? I don't know, it's really hard on this big one here. I just put the dark in on one side. If you don't do it on this coat, make sure you do it on the next coat. But sometimes it's easier just to paint towards yourself. But for me, trying to hold this up, I'm getting into my leaves, and I don't want to do that. So I probably will wait until the next coat. And the only other thing I'm going to do, of course, you want to make sure you sign your name on this fire if you can. And the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my stems. So I will take my liner. I will put the little dots in on these guys, but I'm not going to do it right now. And I will take my stem and I will just do my stems so that I know where my stems are. Okay, there's one. This is too thick, so I'm going to go through and I'm just going to take my brush and thin it out and redo it. You just want something there so that if you like the way that these are done, and then I'll do these and I'll do these too, okay? So that's that. The final thing you're going to do on this is you're going to do the edge, and I just want to give you an idea of what the edge is going to look like. Now, you've got this little guy that comes off into the edge, which I kind of think is pretty cool. I was very pleased with myself on this one. So you're going to start and you're just going to paint. I like this green. It reminds, and here too, it's off the edge. And then you're going to smooth. And you're just going to go around the whole piece. And if you're very careful, now you want these as straight as possible, these lines, but if you don't get them straight, don't worry about it. There are ways to camouflage them. I sometimes go this way along the edge and then go this way and just clean it up. See, I can go this way right along the edge and then come back, clean it up. So that gives you an idea. This is what it ended up looking like when I got it all done. Let me show you on this guy. See, it went all the way around. It turned out pretty cool. But we did the strawberries today. We did it on a matte tile, and the matte tile came from Lowe's, I think. Until next time, get out your paints and keep painting. Thanks. Bye. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.